Trusts 101, how to choose a trustee. I'm Taylor Casper, owner and managing attorney of Legacy Estate Planning, where we help people make empowered choices about their finances so they can leave the legacy they truly deserve. So here we are, Trusts 101. One of the biggest questions that I get is, how do I even pick who should be my trustee? Well, first and foremost, let me take you back and remind you, what is a trust? Remember that a trust is a tool that allows for you to retitle your assets in such a manner that upon your passing, your assets would skip over probate. With your trust, you can write all sorts of stipulated rules. You can decide how your heirs and beneficiaries would receive their inheritance when you're gone, whether that's conditioned upon anything or not. You can also do tax planning with trusts, but trusts are a really awesome tool for anybody that wants to skip probate and leave money to minor children or beneficiaries where they don't desire that the beneficiary receives 100% of their inheritance all at once. That way, the trust can take over and render some control to that situation to make sure that the best interest of those beneficiaries is met according to the desires that the person making the trust had in the first place. So that's just a little bit about trusts, nothing major. We have all sorts of other content and videos you can watch about trusts and why a living trust specifically is such a great tool. So if you have a trust or thinking about getting a trust, one of the most important things you need to consider is who would be your trustee. Now, what is a trustee? The trustee is the person who manages all of the assets in the trust. With a living trust, you're going to create that trust during your lifetime, and you'll be the trustee. You will be the person that decides what happens with your income, your assets, your home, your cabin, any rental properties, RVs, cars, toys, cash, bank accounts, whatever it is that you have that's already inside of your trust right now, everything that's titled to it during your life. If you're married, you and your spouse may be the trustee together, and then the surviving spouse of the two of you would continue to be the trustee by themselves when one spouse is gone but the other remains. Now, thereafter, you have to figure out, who do you trust to be your successor trustee? Who's going to act when you're either not here, or if you're here, but you are unable to act, often due to incapacity, age, or you just don't want to anymore. So that's what we're going to figure out, is how do you determine who will make a good trustee? Number one, when you're considering naming the right person to act as trustee, you want to make sure that that person is very trustworthy. That is because they're going to be tasked with dealing with all of the money and property that's in your estate, and you want to make sure that you can trust them to get that property where it's going without any skimming, without losing any money off the top to unexplained circumstances. You probably don't want anybody who's ever been convicted of a financial crime or is known for cutting some corners when it comes to their own finances and their own life. So trustworthiness is going to be paramount when you're choosing a trustee, because they will have unfettered control. And I say that just to say they won't be before a court. There's not going to be anybody watching their actions and what they're doing, other than, the beneficiaries may have some questions when they receive distributions, but they're going to have access that is the same level of access that you enjoy to your own assets right now. So you want them to be very trustworthy individuals so that nothing goes awry. Next, you want your trustee to be someone very financially literate. Being a trustee is very important work. There are lots of tasks and responsibilities that come with being a trustee, like paying debts of last illness, credit card debt, mortgages that may be due and owing on property that's in the trust, paying other expenses like expenses of administration, any attorney's fees, any tax preparation fees, or anything like that. They would also need to know that taxes do need to be prepared. You want them to be someone that can balance a budget, keep a checking account ledger, very good at record keeping, and has a high level of financial savvy about when they should maybe outsource some of the tasks to another individual. So you want somebody that can do all of those things, that is financially literate, maybe even a little business minded, to make sure that none of the finances are lost or at risk based upon the trustee's actions. The same lines, you're going to want your trustee to be someone who has a high level of attention to detail. Again, being a trustee is a job. There are lots of little things that sometimes get missed along the way if somebody isn't paying close attention. There are tax deadlines that need to be taken into consideration. There are balancing of accounts, paying for things that we mentioned before. There also sometimes are nuances in the trust document themselves that you're going to want a trustee who will read the whole document very carefully, consider what it's saying, make sure that they are abiding by any of the terms in the document with a high level of precision and attention to detail to ensure that the intent of you, the person making the trust, is actually carried out. You may consider the location of your potential trustee. This is sometimes not a factor at all since we live in such a digital world and banking can be done electronically. You can often sign legal documents electronically. We have things like e-notarization. And so oftentimes it doesn't make a whole lot of difference if your agent is in a different state or is far away. But every now and then we see clients with certain types of property, specifically personal property or real property, that needs to be looked over or managed. And if that's the case, you're going to want somebody who's close in proximity who can get over to the cabin or the home to secure it, maybe check on various pieces of personal property to make sure that they're safe and secure as well. And if things like that are a concern, then you're going to want a trustee who is close in proximity to the assets that need to be managed. The last consideration when you're choosing a trustee is the trustee's potential willingness to act. Again, for the third time, being a trustee is a job. There are lots of requirements, rules, regulations, and small things, or things both big and small, that a trustee has to manage. You want to make sure that the person that you're naming is willing to undertake this for you because it's not some quick thing. They may be the trustee for many, many years. And so you want to make sure that they are okay with being the trustee. They're willing and eager to act on your behalf. Because if you don't, then we start running down the line of other eligible people. And we don't want to create a mess where somebody you don't want ends up being the trustee because we didn't have enough people in line who were willing to be the trustee in the first place. Legally, I think we're seeing a big trend towards using professional trustees for estates. We often see this where a parent, maybe an older individual, has a lot of children and they don't all get along, and so we consider using a professional trustee to limit any infighting that may take place if we chose one child as trustee over another. We often also see individuals use professional trustees if they are very high asset, have lots of investments, or have assets that are of a unique character. If you have something really odd that needs to be managed, or say you have a business that needs to continue running, and well, now that you're not here, you may want the trustee or at least one of the trustees to be able to manage those assets of unique character, those businesses. Or for very high net worth individuals, it makes sense to have somebody who's used to dealing with high net worth and is maybe in the financial services industries or as a professional fiduciary. Professional trustees do get compensated. In fact, all trustees do have a right to compensation. Now, where we have non-professional trustees who are just lay people, we'll see something like $25 to $40 an hour, and there'll be an hourly rate for the work that they do. But more often than not, when we're dealing with professional trustees and professional fiduciaries, they are paid off of a percentage of assets under management, much like a financial advisor's office would be paid. And so your professional trustee, you could expect, would receive something like 1% of assets under management on a year-over-year basis. There is lots to think about when you're considering who you should have as your trustee. I've told you already the 5 considerations for choosing a trustee, the possibility of maybe using a professional trustee, and all about how trustees are compensated. So obviously you'll have some thought processes to work through to figure out who is best for you. If we can ever aid in that process of putting your trust in place or in helping you select your trustees, then don't ever hesitate to reach out. You can can book a call at the link in the description. And of course, if you found value in this video, make sure you like this video and subscribe to this channel so you never miss any updates from me. Till next time.